ونسلم على رسول النبي الأمين المكين الحليم الكريم الرؤوف الرحيم. أما بعد، أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم. صدق الله مولانا العظيم. Respected scholars, thinkers, and leading representatives of Muslim Ummah, Alhamdulillah Ta'ala, this is indeed an opportunity of great pleasure, an honor for me to spend these 2 days in your company. I would like to say thanks to Britain for organizing such a beautiful and important conference on the burning subject of the time. And thanks to Turkey on hosting this conference in a very beautiful and historic city of Istanbul, which is a junction of the East and the West, and where 2 oceans meet, which is Maraj al-Bahrain, ocean of the grandeur of the ancient and ocean of the decency of modern democracy. The subject on which we have gathered here is the Muslims of Europe. This contains 2 important areas for contemplation: Muslims and Europe. So let us start from this point to understand what is Islam in true sense, who is a true Muslim, what are the challenges being faced by the Muslims in Europe and at the same time by the European governments and society, and what can be the opportunities in this particular atmosphere of challenges. Islam, for its 3 stages of excellence, have 3 basic roots: Iman, Islam, and Ihsan. Iman stands for the excellence in peaceful behavior. It is from Amr. Islam stands for excellence in compliance, submission, and discipline. It is from Sin. Ihsan stands for excellence in benevolence and sacrifice. So this is the beauty and perfection of Islamic faith as well as Islamic practice. So the peace, security, tranquility, tolerance, compliance, accommodating behavior, listening to others, and being cooperative, being disciplined, being organized. This is something inbuilt within the nature of the teachings of Islam. This is not a thing which is to be adopted by Islam or the Muslims. When we go through the basic Islamic teachings, Quranic commandments, and the commandments of Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Islamic jurisprudence, we find very easily that all of the Sharia commandments are based on certain fundamental legislative principles. Every Islamic commandment takes these basic principles into consideration, and they are never neglected. And these basic principles are the easiness, removal of hardship, removal of narrowness, lessening of difficulties, facilitating, exemption, graduality. As stated in the classical books of Islamic jurisprudence, this is Admul Haraj, Qillatul Taklif, Al-Rukhsa, Al-Istisna, Al-Tadrij. And moreover, whenever we don't find any specific, any positive and categorical commandment on a particular issue, then the basic principle of original permissibility, al-ibahatul asliya, comes for our help. So no gap is remained which is needed to be fulfilled by us. And Quran gives the basis of all these principles as stated, مَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيَجْعَلَ عَلَيْكُم مِّنْ حَرَجٍ لَا يُكَلِّفُ اللَّهُ نَفْسًا إِلَّا وُسْعَهَا وَيَضَعُ عَنْهُمْ إِسْرَهُمْ وَالْأَغْلَالَ الَّتِي كَانَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرَ. And Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam stated, بُعِثْتُ بِالْحَنِيفِيَّةِ السَّمْحَةِ, I have been raised with very easy, practical, workable, facilitating Sharia. And Holy Prophet ﷺ used to give these specific instructions to the companions, which have been reported in many books in Sahih Bukhari, Muslim and other books. He used to say, Yassiru wa la tuassiru, wa bashiru wa la tunaffiru. My ummah, my representatives, torch bearers of Islam, they are here to provide easiness and facility to the people, to the mankind. And they are not here to create any hardship and narrowness for others. They should provide very pleasing atmosphere of being to others. And they should not create any hatred, any conservative situation or atmosphere for the people so that they may run away from Islam. So this is the basic character when we say what is Islam. In order to understand the Islamic philosophy, Islamic style of life, the Muslims, when they are a part and parcel of a European society, it is very important to see Islam from the eyes of Islam. It is necessary that we should come out of our own preconceived views about Islam. We should come out from our own preoccupied minds about Islam and Muslim history. Islam, according to Islamic teachings, Almighty Allah has created a nafsul insani, human personality, human mind, human self. It is a mixture, a combination of 6 sets of fundamental instincts. Now I am taking the second point, how Islam preaches peaceful coexistence. Islam wants to create a peaceful coexistence, a mutual tolerance and cooperation, an atmosphere of balanced interaction, and generous interdependency between various capabilities various tendencies and various instincts which have been ingrained in the very nature of man. So this peaceful coexistence is a philosophy which practically starts from the very beginning of human soul, of human mind, of human personality in our inner self. And same concept of peaceful coexistence reflects in our outer circle of our personality, in our society. The instincts which have been combined in our personality are self-preservative instinct, sexual and racial instinct, social instinct, intellectual instinct, moral instinct and spiritual instinct. So these are the 6 instincts through which human mind operates. Islam does not allow any instinct to suppress the other. It does not allow to create an atmosphere for narrowness for other instinct. It creates a beautiful balance, a tolerance, mutual cooperation and interaction between the instincts to create a balance of personality. Reason is that human personality is also comprised of 6 aspects, and every aspect rounds around an instinct. These are the biological aspect. 2 is social aspect. 3 is cultural aspect. 4 is psychological aspect. 5 is psychical aspect. And 6 is transcendental aspect, which gives origin to the spiritual aspect and the mental and aspect of the arts. So we see in our inner self a beauty has been created. The beauty of unity within plurality. Personality, inner self is pluralism, but a beauty of plurality has been contained in unity of personality. The beauty of diversity is contained in uniformity, and beauty of multiplicity is contained in one. So the multiple wholesome is contained in the one. So here lies the concept of balance between the unity and plurality. So the basic nature of Islamic teachings combines the unity and plurality. Same concept would reflect in the society, in the societal order. If we try to suppress the others, or if we try to create an atmosphere of assimilation, atmosphere of elimination of the others' identities, and to create just homogeneous oneness, it will definitely be against the basic nature. Those societies would be successful, would be able to achieve the objective and destination, would be able to create a peaceful atmosphere, would be able to create an environment of peaceful tolerance, environment of integration. Those who recognize the identities of the elements, those who recognize the significance of plurality, those who recognize and respect the plurality of the existences, and try to emerge the beauty of oneness through all of these pluralisms. This is the basic concept which Islam has given in human mind as well as in the human society. Now coming to the challenge, after this brief basic explanation regarding the Islamic concept, basic challenges which we are facing, I mean the Muslims of Europe as well as the society and the government of Europe. A lot have been said on the one aspect which the Muslim challenges faced by Muslims, and it has been said excellently. all the scholars, all the leaders, all the representatives, academicians and all the analysts, they have really analyzed the situation perfectly. But one aspect which is not touched as it requires to be touched is that the challenges are not being faced by the Muslims of Europe. There are two ends, two faces. At the same time, there are some challenges being faced by the European society as a whole, European governments. So we have to address those concerns too. So when we take this aspect into consideration, the basic challenges are two. The challenge of extremism, I start from here, the challenge of conservatism. Then it goes to extremism. Then it goes to radicalism. And then it ends into terrorism. So the challenge of radicalization and terrorism, which comes up to the level after going through 4 stages. And we should keep in our mind that every Islam does not approve conservatism, but every conservatism is not terrorism. Islam doesn't approve extremism, but every kind of extremism is not militancy and terrorism. Extremism is condemned, but at the same time it is not the terrorism. We have to understand the distance between them. And the other aspect of challenge which we are facing is integration, both by the Muslims as well as the Western society. When we come to the case of terrorism, radicalism, extremism, I would like to say that terrorism has no religion. We shouldn't try to bracket Islam and terrorism. This would be totally unfair and wrong to discuss Muslims and Islam and terrorism together. Terrorism has no religion. Terrorism has no culture. Terrorism has no country. Terrorism can be Islamic, as it is said. Then at the same time, terrorism can be Jewish. Terrorism can be Christian. Terrorism can be European. Terrorism can be American. Terrorism can be Indian. Terrorism can be Chinese. Terrorism can be Western and terrorism can be Eastern. It has no culture, no territories, no religion. It is a human attitude. It is a behavior. It is a tendency. It is a conduct which has its own root causes, background. We cannot address the question of terrorism without addressing the question of basic root causes. In order to address the question of root causes, Western scientists, they have written and researched a lot on this subject. There can be major 4 reasons behind that. It can be anatomic and physiological reason of the tendency of extremism which takes the man up to terrorism. There criminalistic tendency of terrorism. There can be social and societal reasons, and there can be global and international reasons, and there can be theological and ideological reasons. When it comes to the tendency of personality, there are various theories which have been deeply examined. There is a positivistic and biological theory on that. There is a psychiatric theory. There is a psychological theory. There is a sociological theory. There is ecological theory. It is very interesting. I was in United States when Oklahoma bomb attack was taken place. At that time, I had my lecture in Arizona University. So I am the witness. As soon as this event took place, I watched the TV. There was panel debates on this terrorism act, on the subject of Muslims and Arabs. Muslims and Arabs with this terroristic act, they were being discussed for 24 hours. After 24 hours, it was revealed then Arabs had nothing to do with this bomb explosion. There were some terrorists within the state. They were their homegrown terrorists, the Americans, not the Arabs or Muslims. When this reality come up after 2 days or 24 hours, I watched the TV, all of a sudden, the whole direction of discussion and debate was changed. Now the debate and discussion started on the chemical composition of the bomb. Technicalities, how this bomb was placed. Strategic aspects of the blast. And who was responsible? Altogether this subject was changed. So we have to come out of our preoccupied minds. We have to come out of our preconceived conceptions. We have to think deeply the reasons. And there are views, Goring's view, Fink and Dugdale's view, Lane's view, Rashmer's view, Wooten's view on the subject. So this is a full-fledged subject. First 3 reasons Islam has nothing to do with those. First 3 reasons, the root causes. This is the responsibility of the state, public offices, departments, society to take care of these matters. Islam comes into consideration only when it is a matter of theology or ideology. And let me explain this fact that radicalism, extremism and terrorism is right from the beginning of Islamic history. It was rejected by Islam and by Quran. Islam has nothing to do with extremistic tendency. You know, the first commandment in Holy Quran mentioned, which was given to the angels, that was prostration to show their respect to Adam alayhi salam. Quran says, فَسَجَدَ الْمَلَائِكَةُ كُلُّهُمْ أَجْمَعُونَ. Illa Iblis, this was first behavior, and the second behavior was Aba wastakbar. 2 behaviors came out of this commandment. The behaviors of angels were compliance, obedience, submission, tolerance, cooperation, humbleness, peace and tranquility. This was the conduct and behavior adopted by the angels. And the conduct adopted by Satan was denial, non-compromising, intolerance, derogatory, arrogance, conflict-based, and clash and competition-oriented. When he was asked, he replied, Lam akun asjuda li bashar, khalaqtani min narin wa khalaqtahu min teen. So these were 2 different behaviors. One behavior goes to peace, the other conduct directly goes to conflict, and ultimately ends into terrorism. That was declared to be satanic. فَخْرُجْ مِنْهَا فَإِنَّكَ رَجِيمٌ. So the very first day, terrorism, arrogance, conflict-oriented attitude was totally rejected from Islam. Second incident which I would like to quote, that is of Zul Khuwaisara Tamimi. When Holy Prophet ﷺ was distributing the booty, he criticized on Holy Prophet's behavior. And Holy Prophet ﷺ mentioned some of his signs, features, and features of his salient features of his companion, of his followers. And he said, Inna lahu ashaban yahkiru ahadukum salatahu ma salatihim wa siyamahu ma siyamihim wa amalahum ma amalihim wa qiraatahum ma qiraatihim. But these people who are criticizing my behavior, who are arrogant, who are extremist, their followers will be very, very profoundly staunch believers of Islamic practice. They will be fanatic, they will be extreme in Islamic practices. But at the same time they would become the killers, extremists, terrorists, militants. So finally, when this thought, this philosophy emerged in the form of a group, in the form of a move, this shaped into Al-Khawarij and Al-Haruriyya. And according to Al-Khawarij, I have written, there are many hadiths in Sahih Sittah describing the details on Al-Khawarij. I have mentioned the details in Al-Intiba' lil Khawarij wal Harura on this book. There are hadiths. So the basic position we have to try to know what is Islam's position and what is Islam's stance about non-Muslims. Partly when non-Muslims were living under Islamic rule as minorities throughout the history, Islam has been peaceful. Muslim society has been peaceful. I would just like to quote some of ahadith and the instructions by your Holy Prophet and the practices of the Orthodox guided caliphs. Holy Prophet said regarding the non-Muslims, when they were living or they are living as minorities in the Islamic rule, Holy Prophet said, "Ala man zalama mu'ahadan min taqatahu wa kallafahu fawqa taqatihi." Any person who deprives any non-Muslim from his right, Holy Prophet said, this is in Sunan Abi Dawood. Any person who deals with unjust behavior with non-Muslims, deprives him of his right, or puts burden more than his ability, Holy Prophet said, I am the person who will fight for the rights of non-Muslims on the Day of Judgment. Holy Prophet ﷺ stated, and this is the Aimma has stated that إِذَا قَتَلَ الْمُسْلِمُ النَّصْرَانِيَّ قُتِلَ بِهِ. If a Muslim anytime killed a Nasrani, a Jew, a Christian, a non-Muslim, he was killed in punishment under the law of retaliation. And blood money was declared equal between the Muslims, Christians, Jews and other non-Muslim minorities. Islam was always giving respect to the worship places. Islam was always protecting the religious rights of non-Muslims, the cultural rights of non-Muslims, the social and civil rights of non-Muslims. When Amr bin al-As, the governor of Egypt, his son punished a son of a non-Muslim, one of the minorities, and the complaint went to Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. He ordered that the governor's son would be punished equally by the hands of non-Muslims. It comes in Bayhaqi, it comes in Kanzul Ummal. So Sayyidina Farooq Azam Umar, it is in Abu Yusuf narrates in Kitab al-Khiraj, and Abu Ubaid Qasim bin Salam narrates in Kitab al-Anfal, and many other references can be quoted when Sayyidina Umar, Sayyidina Usman, Sayyidina Abu Bakr, they wrote instructions. Even last days of his life, Sayyidina Umar said that I had been declared to be responsible for the protection of non-Muslim rights, and you have to continue the same policy till the Day of Judgment, and we have to fight for their protection. This is the stance of Islam on non-Muslim rights when they live in an Islamic rule. Same kind of culture, society, polity was established by Holy Prophet ﷺ in first state of Medina, where first written constitution of the world was drafted. Misaqul Medina. This is Misaqul Medina. I have written with commentary in 63 articles. Holy Prophet was the first person in the history who constitutionally founded the multicultural society of Islam, protecting the religious rights of Jews and all tribes, protecting the cultural rights, protecting their social rights, protecting their legal rights, their customs, their conventions. So Islam never supported conservatism, extremism, or any kind of radicalism. So when the case comes to Islam, the basic thing is that Muslims do not believe in extremism. And if sometimes it happens, then we are required to deeply think under the root causes. Sometimes there may be international reasons, some may be external reasons. I would suggest here to the European governments and European society to develop a foreign policy of their own. They shouldn't connect themselves with somebody who has a bit different agenda than the European countries do have. Someone can have the agenda of global domination, but European countries don't. Some European countries are just interested in developing the peaceful atmosphere. Europe is interested in integration. Europe is interested in stability and prosperity. Europe is interested in elimination of radicalism and terrorism. So, to eliminate terrorism is a different story. And to get control of terrorists is a different story. Maybe two brothers are allies. One wants to eliminate the terrorists, other doesn't. Other wants to get control on them. Other want to put them, the terrorists, under his control, so that whenever he needs, he may use them. Wherever he wants, he may terminate them. Whenever he wants, he may replace them when better option is ready. Whenever he wants, he may give them another employment and reinstate them. There are some powers which are working for the global expansion, but Europe is not. So European agenda may be different from some other's agenda. That's the reason, because Europe is not working for the new European century, on the project of new European century. This is not on the priority of Europe. So where the priorities are different, because of global expansionism, you create challenges, you create revenge, you create response, you create terrorism. And this terrorism which is created by the expansionist agenda of someone, if you are working as allies, automatically you become facing all these challenges without any objective. So the other external aspect, particularly the Palestine and Middle East policy, is to be reviewed. Right from 1977 to 1987, 40 to 50 Security Council resolutions on Palestinians' life, just for their safety, for human rights, for report of human violations, violations. They were totally vetoed, rejected, turned down just by one veto with combination of Israel. And never even a single veto, Europe was not involved in that. Europe did not vote for that. Europe was always neutral. But these things sometimes create a frustration in some of the youngsters, Muslim minds, right or wrong. You have your own reasons behind that, but they would have their own reasons. We are not here to create a debate. We are to resolve. We want a peaceful atmosphere in the whole of the Europe. So we have to address the international concerns as well as the internal, local, societal concerns. And these concerns are the concerns of discrimination. And the last thing, with a few words, we should concentrate on establishment of the multicultural society through integration, not through assimilation. Integration can be possible. We can speed the process of integration through providing more chances, better chances to the Muslim Ummah and youngsters in education, in job, in involving them in security measures, in law enforcing agencies, by increasing more and more interaction with Muslim communities, by providing them more political participation locally and nationally. So the more we get closer to Muslim communities, the more we start our interaction with them, the more we respect their identity, their culture, their existence, and then we call for them for integration along with building measures for mutual building confidence. Inshallah, we would be able to create a better atmosphere and environment for integration if we achieve the destination of integration. And we get rid of the basic reasons, internal and external reasons, which lead a man to the terroristic tendency. This Europe is bound to become a Jannah. The beautiful democratic values, the liberties, the freedoms, the multiculturalism, the promotion of human values, democratic values, these are really remarkable. But we have to concentrate on this kind of agenda. And I am finishing with this sentence. The last thing is that we have to again review our policy regarding media. Media has a very important role in creating this kind of reactions. Whenever there was any bomb attack, act of terrorism, whether it was in Afghanistan, whether the things are happening in Iraq, whether there was London bombing, Madrid bombings, wherever it happens, you might be watching that the media always bring the terrorists or their representatives or the radicals or the extremists on screen. and show them shouting to the Western world to give this negative picture of Islam and Muslims. Never the moderate voices get proper place. The progressive Islam Muslims which are here in this conference, the progressive scholars, the moderate scientists, the true representatives of Muslim Ummah in Europe, their voice normally do not get that place in media which the radical voice get. So it creates a double negative impact. One on the Western European society, they give a negative image which enhances the preconceived view of Islam, negative view of Islam. And on the other hand, it again creates the impact on the Muslim youngster. They became more revengeful and reactive. So, sorry I took a bit more time, but these were a few requests and suggestions which I could put on this subject. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.